What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Phaithful Phanatics show, live here on DSM-Media's Philadelphia YouTube channel. First and foremost, guys, if you are new to the channel, if you like the content, if you want to be interactive here throughout today's show or any of our shows that we host here on the channel, don't forget to support by smashing that subscribe button. It is the best spot to get your thoughts, comments, and questions pulled up here on the screen with your host. I am one half of them this morning, Dylan Davis. To my right, my faithful co-host, Scotty. Eagles take care of business on Christmas Day against Tommy DeVito, Tyrod Taylor, and those Giants. Scotty, we're going to break that one down to get back in the winning column, which is always a good thing, especially on Christmas Day. They take on Jonathan Gannon in his return and the Cardinals to Philadelphia this week, and we're going to talk about that game as well. And the Sixers, 21-9 through their first 30 games. Where are we right now? Joel Embiid, Nick Batum missing the last couple of games, expected to miss tonight's game as well. So we're going to talk about life without Embiid and his importance and all that. So guys, feel free to drop your thoughts and comments in the comment section. But my man, happy Friday, happy holidays, and how are you doing?
Happy Friday, my man. We are one step closer to New Year's weekend. So I'm feeling pretty good. We got one day left in the tank at the work week. I know you've had a busy morning. I've had a busy morning. So it's nice to have this nice little break here to talk about the stuff we love in life, which is Philly sports. So I'm happy to be here, man. Happy to break this all down with you. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this Eagles-Giants game because we usually text, pretty consistently throughout Eagles games for the most part. But this game, it was holiday weekend. We were with family, so we just didn't talk much during the game to share thoughts. Really just came together after the game, like, W, we'll take it, Christmas W. Then the 49ers get waxed, and you kind of forget about the way the Eagles actually won the game. So, yeah, we're a little late, Marshawn Lynch, but you know how it goes in the holiday
Long
season.
week, bro. Merry Christmas, happy holidays.
A long,
happy New Year. Yeah.
But, yeah, I'm happy to be here. We're almost to the new year, which means new vibes, right? We're going to bring the positive vibes back in the new year with all our Philly sports.
Hey, man, you thought I was out, right? Santa said no.
Let's go.
No, it's all no. We're back, but it was not all pretty on Christmas Day. So you want to know my thoughts? My thoughts are really, I don't know what the hell took place on Monday afternoon is what I feel, because they win this game, they score 33. Yeah, the defense gives up 25, but two of the touchdowns were kind of handed to the Giants. There were special teams miscues, except Covey also had a great punt return. So it's like there was so much back and forth of positivity and red flags and issues, right? The first half, I thought they were great, right? The first half, you go into halftime with a 20-3 lead at that point. Tommy DeVito couldn't throw a ball for more than 5 yards down the field. They obviously make the change to Tyrod Taylor. You were limiting Saquon Barkley in the first half. All in all, it was a very, very good and pretty clean first half for the Eagles. And then all of a sudden, something changed in the second half with the kickoff miscue to open up and some defensive miscues and Tyrod Taylor basically doing what he wants on a drive here and there. The offense, at times, Jalen, I'm sitting here saying, what is he doing? And then a play later, he turns around and makes one of the best throws that any quarterback could make to A.J. Brown on 3rd and long, right? He turns around, a fumbled snap, picks it up, throws it off balance to Calcaterra. It was a lot of back and forth, man. But the most important thing is that it was a win. The offense scored 33. You got to take what you can. I will say we can have a discussion about Nick Sirianni and some of the players, afterwards. But yeah, all in all, I'll take it. But to Marshawn Lynch's point, yeah.
When you look back on it, especially we talked about that on Turf Talk yesterday, on the pre-recorded show. So it'll be on Sunday, I think, is the show where we had that conversation. But the 49ers, right, they go out and they lose to the Ravens like that. And you start to go back to those games and look at those a little differently. The 49ers is where the first 3 drives you come out. I think they scored 2 field goals out of the first 3 drives. And mind you, they were in the red zone, so they should have scored 7s in those drives, and that game looks completely different. And then the 3 fumbles against Dallas. But looking at this game, man, I think there's 2 ways you can look at it, and I think you broke down both pretty fairly there yourself. The first one for me would be, obviously, when you lose 3 games in a row, you're going to take a fucking W. And that's what we had to do on Monday, on Christmas Day. Just enjoy Christmas Day and enjoy the fact that it was a W. They didn't cover the spread. So if you laid the spread, you didn't enjoy that W.
Yeah,
but,
sorry about that.
Overall, the Eagles, they go out, they do what they need to get this W. Now, there were ugly moments in the game. There were moments where you look around and you're like, God damn it, this is the same stuff that has been killing us all season, right? Just shooting yourselves in the foot. The turnovers, right? The mistakes. You mentioned the Jalen interception to Adoree Jackson, the Boston Scott fumble, and the kick return. Obviously, just stuff you can't have happen. There were a few penalties mixed in there, the false starts, the offsides, right? With Josh Sweat and Jalen Carter continue to make those mental mistakes. So I'm looking for improvements there, obviously. But then on the other side of things, you go and you look at the run the ball, right? Run the ball fanatics out there. They go out here, they run the ball 35 times, 20 of them go to Swift. Swift has over 90 rushing yards, a touchdown. Hurts gets over 30 rushing yards and a touchdown. They have over 170 rushing yards combined in that game. With 2 touchdowns. It goes to show you what happens when you run the football.
It's very crazy what happens.
It's interesting,
very
right?
Crazy.
Specifically when you give the ball to Swift a certain amount of times. 15 plus is that sweet spot when you talk about touches. But then, just to kind of digress from that as well, I love the way Jalen Hurts spread the ball out amongst the receivers. And even with the running backs, right? Like, you talk about the offense, and it may have been the week before last where there was a bunch of concern around A.J. Brown, Smitty, and Goddard getting all of the targets in the offense, right? In this game, you see Calcaterra make a play. You see Julio Jones make a catch, even if it's only 2 or 3 yards. They're getting other guys touches in the game, and you come out of that game, 11 different guys, including Hurts on offense, got touches, whether that was running the football or catching a pass through the air from Hurts. So there was some good in the game, some great in the game.
There's a lot of good. Yeah.
But there's also just those recurring negative factors.
Correct, because the Giants were dead. It was 20-3 in Philadelphia against 2 backup quarterbacks, and because of your own self-inflicted mistakes, you let them right back in the ballgame. Now, it wasn't like past weeks where Jalen was at fault, or we fumbled through. It was a special teams and a slip by Goddard. That was,
I'm glad you clarified
you allowed them back into this game when they were dead and buried, right? They made a quarterback change and went away from the guy who was taking over the internet and taking over the NFL spotlight for a minute. They went away from it on national television because it wasn't working, and then you let them come right back in. It was very odd, man. Like, people were beat writers, all the fans I saw on Twitter just tweeting out, like how this is a dysfunctional team, and then you follow that, and then the Eagles kind of take control again. You know what I mean? That, like, it was such a back and forth game where at halftime people are like, this is exactly what we needed, dominant 60-minute performance. Then they let them creep back in the game. It's ugly. We're turning the ball over. This team's dysfunctional. Then we put them away. We score 33. We have the interception by Ringo, and all is well, right? I will say 2 big things. And Marshawn Lynch, I'll tell you right now, it's only one more game from when we talked about it. But I will say, I can admit when I'm wrong. And again, it was against Drew Lock, and now it was against the Giants. But Eli Ricks and Kelee Ringo look like a better option than James Bradberry at the moment.
They look pretty good.
James Bradberry found ways to get beat one-on-one in the slot versus Darren Waller. Like, not just beat by a step, beat by a couple yards on an inward slant on third down. Keely Ringo, meanwhile, Eli Ricks, meanwhile, not being thrown at, pass deflections, interceptions to end the game. Like, yeah, I guess I'm with you guys right now. Again, this is not against relevant quarterback play. Maybe we work ourselves up. Cardinals, Giants, they continue to play well. We think we have this in the secondary now, and then we play the Lions or we play Dak, and those two look like rookies and undrafted free agents, right? But for right now, yeah, I would agree that they're a better option than James Bradberry, especially when Maddox and Slay are back. When you have Maddox, Slay, Ringo / Ricks, and then Bradberry somewhere down on the depth chart. They'll never do it. They paid him. Bradberry's going to play, but
it's not like you have to bench, quote unquote, bench James Bradberry. Like you can just take his snaps down a few, right?
Exactly.
Like, the way they've played, you see they can come out, they can play on meaningful downs and give James Bradberry a break if you need to. And I think that's what the Eagles need to realize, like defensively, Matt Patricia, all those guys, they need to realize what they're working with. They ultimately got Slay a nice little break down the stretch here. He should come back with fresh legs in the playoffs.
Maddox.
Maybe just do the same thing for Bradberry. Give him a break these last 2 weeks.
Yeah, honestly.
Like, I'm not saying go out here and risk losing games. If you feel you're going to risk losing a game because Bradberry sits, obviously you don't need to go and do that. But maybe reduce his snaps a little bit and let these guys get some more snaps. You have Roby, you have Avonte Maddox, who's a full practice participant this week. And they should get some of the linebackers back, man. That's the bright side for this defense is they are starting to get some of those guys back, right? And as Marshawn Lynch mentioned about Shaq Leonard, he looked really good.
Yeah,
he had some interesting comments after the game.
Pumping up the crowd.
Yeah, it shows where his mindset's at, where his motivation levels are at. So a lot of positives, but yeah, I do agree, man. It's not necessarily about taking Bradberry completely off the field, but more or less about reducing his role. He just doesn't need to be known as this all-pro corner now when he's not.
And to your point, this is why this team and this coaching staff and management are so confusing to me this year, man. Like we go back to the Nick Sirianni, holding Sean Desai accountable and noticing that you need change, so he makes a switch, but then saying nothing's going to change offensively. It's like, what are we doing? But it's same thing with personnel. Quez Watkins had what? 1 snap, 2 snaps on Christmas. They're making correct adjustments. He should not be on the field over Julio Jones, Olamide Zaccheaus, some of these other guys, right? So you're making that adjustment, but then on the flip side, we're not going to make that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's confusing. They're realizing certain things and they're making the necessary replacements and adjustments, but they're not doing it on other areas that are needed as well. So, like I said, you can't sit here and start, chirping and preaching for Keely Ringo to be starting, right? Because again, he's played against Drew Lock and Tommy DeVito / Tyrod Taylor. But the bottom line is, so has James Bradberry.
Yeah.
And James Bradberry is getting beat up against the same competition.
Yeah.
So you do have to take that into account and figure, something's got to change, something's got to give. I agree. His snap count needs to be decreased a bit, man. But again, just all in all, it feels like a year ago that this game took place now that it's Friday, but very, very odd. I thought for the most part, Jalen looked very good. 24 of 38, over 300 passing yards, a touchdown, a pick that, again, Goddard slips. It's probably not a pick if he doesn't slip. But so that's the key. They ran the ball to Swift. They mixed the ball around. The last thing I'll say about last week, though, man, Scotty, I'm starting to have a problem with our head coach. And it's crazy that it made me more angry after a win. But I was so happy to see that emotion out of Smitty and Reddick and giving it back to Nick. And I know that Nick's got the emotion. And they'll all tell you, right? These things happen on the sideline. Okay. If you notice the timing of the play, I just think that these guys were getting fed up with the dysfunction. Smitty came out and called it a spade after the game. Yeah, we had 11 wins. We're not playing good football. But then the head coach is saying, and I get what he's saying. Like, winning is all that matters, but you do have to acknowledge things have to be fixed. But if you recall when they were getting on him, was for some reason, Giants had the ball down one possession, I believe, around midfield, their own 40, third down or fourth down, and they're scrambling at the line. There's like 6 seconds on the play clock, 5 seconds. Tyrod Taylor doesn't know what's going on. Guys are moving, and Nick calls a timeout. What the fuck are we doing? I lost it when he did that. And he comes over. What are you screaming at? They were the team on offense. They were the team struggling. Taylor's looking around, not noticing what's going on. Right after that is when Smitty and Reddick were in his face, kind of on the sideline talk. And it makes you wonder if it is somewhat dysfunctional.
Yeah. I think when you have these blow-ups on the sidelines, you have to wonder what's going on. You obviously have A.J. Brown refusing to talk to the media. At the end of the day, what I'll say is, if it comes down to the players versus the coach, then the coach will always go, especially in this case when you're talking about the talent levels from the players we're talking about. So, I mean, I'll throw it to the Eagles to figure that out ultimately, but yeah, it's not a great look at all. And I think just the mixed messages that are coming out of the locker room at different levels of frustration, it just kind of shows they're not all on the same page. And
right, and that's the one thing Nick Sirianni's supposed to control.
Be good at.
We sit here, we talk. He doesn't control the defense. He shouldn't be a part of the offense most of the time. What is he great at? We love the person. We love the personality, the emotion. He's a player's coach. He's a leader. Go focus on the team as a whole and now you're getting these different leaks, these different communication issues, and it's like, and that was kind of my point with the Smitty comment, man, is like the head coach is right in a sense. Winning is all that matters at the end of the day. But I think what Smitty's trying to say is we have 11 wins. This shit ain't good enough, though.
Yeah.
We beat the Giants, but this shit isn't good enough. And then when your head coach follows that up with, hey, we won. No, you need to fix it. And that's part of my issue.
Yeah, no, I do agree with you. I was reading an article, and it's funny. I don't know if this was the actual interview that the article was referring to, but it was an interview with Nick Sirianni, and basically he was talking about how you have to balance out being happy with the win versus looking to play better football. And he kind of elaborated on that. And, maybe if this is a separate interview, he probably should have done that after the game. Right. Enjoy the W, but we got some things to fix before next week. Once again, very simple answers that you can provide to avoid, pushback and dysfunction around the organization. Yeah. But yeah, I think, Hunter pointed out a good point in the game as well, man, when Jalen Hurts made that mental mishap before the half by not running out of bounds and stopping. Yeah, that was
completely forgot about that one.
That was.
I think that's one of the times I did text you. That's one of the times you did get a text from me on Christmas night.
Yeah, I couldn't believe
point
that.
Blank. What the fuck is he doing?
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. I mean,
and he got bailed out.
That is so it's so not Jalen. You know what I mean? Like, that's so not Jalen. But at the same time, you have to ask yourself before this play, if there's a chance that you could take off scrambling with this football, how is there not any type of reminder coming through the headset, from your head coach that should be aware of these things?
Scotty, it was such a mind-boggling play, bro, because not only did he not try to get out of bounds,
he tried to juke back into 5.
Yeah, he knew he was on the boundary and tried to. It wasn't like he ran up the middle and stayed in the middle of the field, not being like, "Yo, I got to get to the boundary." He got to the boundary and said, "Nah, hold on, let me get another yard or two," and tried to go around 3 guys. What are you doing?
Yeah,
And then he
no,
gets bailed out.
man.
Listen, and the dude was laying on top of him, which you're not allowed to do. It happens all the time, but he got bailed out at the end of the day by that penalty call that ended up giving us 3 more points. But I, again, completely forgot about that. And it does just go to the dysfunction of this game. It was a mess at times, man. But again, it also showed a lot of bright spots, right? Jalen made some big time throws and big time plays. Smitty, AJ, hell, Britton Covey was huge in this game. So Hassan Reddick making plays on 4th down, blowing up a 4th and short run. Just no one even blocked him. I really don't know what the Giants are trying to do. But
my one last complaint here, on this game, just once again, just no signature, moments from the pass rush though. Like obviously Shaq Leonard got his sack in this game. He made that play, but just this season, man, just no dominance from the DL when it comes to getting to the quarterback consistently. And I know they got some pressures mixed in there. When Tyrod Taylor comes in, it kind of changes the game plan, but I would just love to see this team come out of a game with, 4 or 5 sacks one time this season, man. Just to see that dominance.
It's what my family was kind of bitching about, even though the defense looked great at times. Man, I mean, just again and again, no type of pressure, Scotty. And it's what you and I talked about yesterday with the Ravens and Niners game is Brock Purdy was only sacked 2 times. The Ravens did not put him on the ground with the ball in his hands a ton, but they were in his face over and over and over and forcing him out of the pocket. And then the turnover started to occur from it. When you just not only is the sack production not there, there's just a 4-man rush that isn't even penetrating the line of scrimmage, man.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't get what has happened to the personnel. Like in the beginning of the year, dude, remember when Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter were just throwing guys out of the way one-on-one? That's gone.
Yeah.
It hasn't occurred in a year, it feels like.
That's what it feels like, seriously.
Josh Sweat, no penetration for the most part. Reddick, he'll break through here and there, but it feels like he keeps whiffing. It's like, I don't know. That is the biggest concern I have, man, against great offenses, against great quarterback plays. Come later on in January, if you are not getting to any of those dudes, our defense is going to get torched.
Agreed.
You won't be able to long day. Like so that is by far my biggest concern with the defense right now. Hey, maybe Ben Vandersmeeren can keep playing linebacker.
Making some plays, plugging holes, man. Yeah,
doing what he's got to do, man. But all right, let's move on to this week's game against the Cardinals real quick. Again, let's call a spade here, Scotty. I know I said that already, but there's not much that goes into this one. Right, I'm not going to sit here and tell you what the Eagles need to do to get a victory. Go get a fucking win and go cover a spread for once. For once this season, cover a spread against a bad team. I know it doesn't matter. And a win is a win is a win. I've preached it since September, man. Yeah. But can we finally, against a 3-win team, against that head coach in this building, can you just dominate a football game for 60 minutes? Hell, I'll take dominant for 50 minutes. If there's a 10-minute spurt where you lose 7-0 in the 10 minutes and you're sloppy on offense, whatever. Just go win the game, put up points against Jonathan Gannon, and don't let Kyler Murray or whoever run around for 60 minutes and create plays on our defense. Just don't allow it, man. This needs to be a dominant performance.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's the same thing we said about the Giants in reality. A game where the Eagles should win by double digits, take care of business at home. It's funny. I was reading once again earlier that same article with Nick Sirianni going into this game with the Cardinals. The Eagles have not had a win of over 8 points since that win against the Dolphins where they won by 14. So it's been quite a while since we had
that was probably their best performance of the year.
Quite honestly, the most complete game I think we could agree there on. But yeah, I agree, man. There's a lot of like storylines like Gannon returning, right? Kaiser White returning, Kyler Murray, what does he look like going into the next season for Cardinals? But all of that stuff does not matter towards what the Eagles are trying to do here, which they come into this game as a 12-point favorite against a team with 3 wins on the season, man. You need to come out here at home and lay the woodwork on this team. Give us some confidence moving forward into that Week 18 matchup with the Giants. And give us some confidence that, we don't have to worry about that game, right? Like, you leave this game against the Giants, and there's a bunch of would've, could've, should'ves for the Giants in this game. What if they started Tyrod Taylor, though? Let's leave this game against Kyler Murray, a better quarterback, saying we have no worries moving into the playoffs with our seeding and where we're going to land at. We need to just start building positive momentum going into the postseason. That's the biggest thing. It's not necessarily about scoring 50 points this weekend, but more or less about playing that complete game that will equate to you scoring, 30-plus points with the talent you have on this offense. So
because
this is not a world-beating team. There's no dynamic players on this team. I mean, Trey McBride is a great player, rookie, tight end. Hollywood Brown, James Conner. Like, these guys are all right. They're good pieces, but they're not going to win you games by themselves, and that's what I'm looking at here.
I believe they're winless on the road, Scotty. I could be wrong. I believe they're winless on the road. Come on. That's all I'm going to say. It's just go do your job. Everybody for 60 minutes, just do your job this weekend. Yeah. That's all I'm asking.
It's really
because,
simple.
Listen, while the close wins and the overtime games against the battle-tested teams like the Bills and the Chiefs and the Cowboys, while those wins are big and they build character and they help towards a Super Bowl run, right? When you get into those moments in the championship game or the divisional round, those games help build you towards that goal.
Yeah.
But I also need to see a dominant side of you once in a while.
Yeah.
Like, San Fran, they beat the shit out of the lesser teams.
Yeah.
Dallas beats the shit out of the lesser teams.
Gotta stop playing down the competition. That's
exactly, because great teams don't do that, man. Once in a blue moon, they'll do it, right? But you've done it too much. So you can't afford to do it in the final home game of the regular season this year and allow Dallas back in the race for the division title at the end of the day. So go take care of business, and let's move on to Week 18. That's all I got to say. Yeah. Jalen, play clean. Defense, get off the field. And you should win easily.
It's very, very simple. I want them to continue to build on what they did last week, right? Continue to build on the positives and just erase some of those negatives, right? Erase the interception, erase the fumble.
Use some sort of fuel.
Return.
Use some sort of fuel, right? Who's across that sideline on Sunday?
Yeah, you should want to torch him, man. Like, you should want to torch him.
A dude who left you high and dry after that dreaded Super Bowl performance by his defense. Didn't even fly back to Philly. Already knew he was out of there. Tampered and took Fangio away from us, basically. Go kick the shit out of that dude, man. The Niners, they gave you bulletin board material. You did nothing with it. Dallas is giving you bulletin board material. You did nothing with it. Use something to go kick the shit out of a lesser talented team.
Something. Find something within yourself to go out there and win this game.
Because
I'll tell you this, man. I don't know if it's because it's not game day. This is like a 1:00 game. One of the only 1:00 games.
Yeah, literally one of 3 1:00 games this year.
Yeah, so take advantage of that early start time and start our Sunday on a good note, man. And a good note isn't winning by 1 possession. Quite honestly, it's not, because it's not comfortable. Excuse me, it's not comfortable, man.
Oh, this is positive. This is positive reinforcement. Okay, I'm positive because they're going to win the game. I'm positive
they're going to win the game.
I'm just telling you.
We're talking about the logistics of how they're going to win the game.
I'm telling you, it better be a good win.
Can't be making fun of the Cowboys and then go and lose to the team they lost to as well, man. Nah.
Right.
But they are 1-7 on the road too.
Okay. They squeaked out one. Who the hell was that against?
I do wonder who that was against.
That's dreadful.
But yeah, 1-7 on the road. Let me see here. They beat the Steelers on the road, actually.
Oh, that's
That was the
right.
one win.
Yeah.
That was the
I
one
remember.
win against the
When the
Pittsburgh
Steelers
Steelers,
when the
man.
Steelers thought their schedule was easing up and they lost to the Cardinals and the at home. That's
Let
good
me ask
stuff.
you this, just real quick, then
Yeah,
we can move on to the Sixers, man. Um, any offensive or defensive standouts you're looking for, and maybe not what
yeah,
you think will happen, but what you want to see.
yeah. Again, I'll go with DeAndre Swift on offense because I want to see another performance back-to-back weeks from not just him but this coaching staff
I like
to
that. Yeah,
finally start to realize that you need to string together the running game, to finally realize that he's an X factor on your offense that you did not have last year. And just get him the ball, and then it's on him to do his job. If you give DeAndre Swift the ball and the offensive line is bad or he's not, hitting holes or whatever, then that's on the players. But when you just totally eliminate a guy from your game plan and
yeah,
don't even target him or turn around and give him the ball, that's on the coaching. That's on the play
yeah.
calling. So you did it last week. We've been preaching, praying for it. Let me see it again. So I'll go with DeAndre Swift on offense. On defense, James Bradbury.
Fair enough.
Let me see
Fair enough.
something, man. Let me see a pick. Let me see a couple pass deflections and not let them throw your way anymore. Let me see something from you, dude,
Show
against
some
this
life.
piss poor offense.
No, I do feel you. Show some life if you're James Bradbury. I'm gonna go with AJ Brown on offense just because you know he's causing all of this this
I hear you.
drama. He's not
Can
talking
I,
to the media.
not to cut you off, but can I tell
Yeah,
you why I didn't pick AJ?
yeah, go ahead.
Because I don't care if he does it against this team.
Fair
I
enough.
need to see AJ Brown, and it's not all just on AJ Brown against the better opponents. It's on play calling, it's on Jalen, but I need to see AJ Brown be the AJ Brown we brought in against, the Dallas Cowboys,
Yeah.
against the San Francisco 49ers. So that's why I was like, if he does it this week, that makes sense. I was like,
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I'm going with AJ Brown more or less just to back up what he's talking about and show his dominance, man. And once again, just end the season on the right note. There is a world where Dallas could end up losing this game on Saturday against the Detroit Lions, and all of a sudden this becomes the game that will win you the NFC East. So it could end up being a little bit more important than what it appears to be as of right now. But yeah, I just want to see AJ Brown get back to that dominance, and I think more or less that pertains to the Eagles' offense being able to show that explosiveness that they haven't been able to show recently, and part of it's been turnovers, part of it's been the route it's been coaching, it's been player, it's been a problem across the board for this team as far as creating those big plays. You saw it down the stretch against the New York Giants, right? That throw over the top. I believe it was like 3rd and 20 or 2nd and 20
yeah,
or something
it's a
to
great throw.
AJ Brown. Great throw by Jalen Hurts. But I just want to see the big play ability come back and have that balance. It would kind of balance out what you were requesting from DeAndre Swift. If we can get both of those things going in one game, then we're going to start seeing the product that we've been dreaming of all season. So just bringing that big play ability, bringing the excitement back to the offense, the fun, the positive vibes back to the offense, so they can look like they're having fun out there and stop arguing with each other.
Seriously.
On the
And that's what I was going to say, man, to Brett's comment. That's true, but not everyone else on the team is complaining week after week after week and not speaking to the media. That's what I mean. Like, if he comes out and asserts his dominance this game, I don't care. Like, Swift, he's not barking. He's not saying anything. So
yeah. No, I agree. I just want to
defense,
see I want to see AJ put his money where his mouth is. That's all. Or where his mouth isn't, I guess you could say. But,
yeah.
I'm going to go with Kevin Byard on the defensive end. I think you could go with the entire defensive line if you wanted to, but I'll start with our safety just because he's going to have a very important matchup with Trey McBride, and that's their leading pass catcher there in Arizona. A nice little safety valve for Kyler Murray. So I'm looking for Kevin Byard to help eliminate that safety valve with Trey McBride, maybe combine with the linebackers to complete that job. But it would just be nice, man. I'm looking for playmakers to make plays down the stretch here to show us they're alive. Like you said with James Bradbury, show us some life, man. Shaq Leonard, show us some life.
Everybody, bro. I think that
Everybody
was
on
our
that
point.
defensive
Like,
side of
use
the
that
ball.
fuel. Show me something in the ticker, man.
Yeah,
When
like, are you a
Kelsey grabs a
playmaker or
lineman and
not,
starts
man?
screaming in his face in the end zone, show me
Yeah.
some sort of life.
Kevin Byard, man, is he a playmaker or not? Like,
Right.
can you make a play against the Cardinals? Like, that's what we're asking here, man. Not only the turnovers on offense to stop, but create some turnovers on defense. Yes, we got an interception in that game. It was at the end of the game on a Hail Mary attempt in the end zone. Like, let's get a defensive turnover that makes a difference in the game.
Where's our offense's short field, right? Where's creating
we never get those
opportunities for them? No. So, I agree with you.
Do all those things, the Eagles will win by 30. So.
Win comfortably. Absolutely. Absolutely. Speaking of a team that just continues to find ways to win, Scotty.
Yes, sir.
The Philadelphia 76ers are 21-9 through their first 30 games. They get their first win on the season without Joel Embiid the other night against the Orlando Magic on the road by 20 against a very surprisingly good Orlando Magic to start the year through the first 30 games for them as well. Thoughts on life without Joel, man? And first and foremost, let's just throw this on the table. It's every year, and again, here you are. I believe they were 0-6 without him before this game, or 0-7 without him before. I don't know how many games he's missed now, but it's their first win without Joel Embiid, and it was this big thing, this big talking point on the broadcast. And it's just funny because it just shows the value that he brings to the team. And what most valuable? That's right. So it just helps him in that regard as well, man. But it hasn't been as pretty as it was the other night against the Magic without him. So thoughts on what's been happening?
It's been good. Obviously, bouncing back against the Magic on Wednesday night. The Christmas Day showing obviously was something to forget about. But the bounce back against the Magic, the fifth best record in the Eastern Conference they have right now at 18-12. It was a good W in their house and taking care of business, showing that there is levels of class within the Eastern Conference, in my opinion. There, so. Great W. And to your point about Embiid, obviously 21-9 at this point, but 1-6 without Embiid on the season.
Yeah.
The only thing that is counteracting against Embiid and his MVP campaign now is those games played, right? He can't miss too many more games to stay eligible for that award. But at the same time, I don't think that should be like a main priority either, right? So if he's injured, which he definitely is, I know there's been a lot of talk about that, but if you watch the game where he injured his ankle and rolled it, you would completely understand why he's not playing basketball right now. I think we're just lucky that nothing more significant happened to that ankle, like a fracture or anything like that to that foot or leg. Right. So from that standpoint, I would love the haters to just sit down, but they never will. But yeah, you come out, you get this W without Embiid. It looked a little rough against the Heat. Looked a lot better against the Orlando Magic. D Melton this game, 22 points, 5 rebounds, 4 for 7 from the 3-point line. Really showed his stuff. He can be so up and down, man. You really just need that consistency from him. Maxey bounces back, 23 points, 6 rebounds, 3 for 6 from the 3-point line. Once again, would like to see him get up more attempts from the 3-point line personally, especially with Embiid out, because you need those points. But
you know what I really enjoyed seeing? All the overreaction from
the Miami Heat game. Yeah, that was
my God, bro.
I didn't watch that game, so I can't.
I didn't sit down and watch it. We had it on. It wasn't like I'm invested in it kind of thing. But obviously doesn't take a rocket scientist to know how bad he was that night, shooting the ball, turning the ball over. They were doubling him once he crossed half court, but just people coming out of the woodwork, man. And like Sixers fans literally tweeting that we need this game showed that you need someone else, because I don't know if we can trust Maxey as the second guy in the postseason. Because of how he looked, the way that Miami was trapped. Well, okay, Miami had a very specific game plan against Tyrese Maxey without Joel Embiid on the floor.
So he's not the second
Joel
guy
Embiid
in this
plays. They cannot attack Maxey the way they were in the half court. If Joel Embiid doesn't play, it doesn't matter what they do because we're not winning anything anyway. So that whole argument of, well, if teams do this against Maxey, they can't. They can't do that against Tyrese Maxey when Joel Embiid's on the floor. And if he's not on the floor and your concern is Maxey, then none of it matters because you're not winning anything in the postseason without Joel Embiid.
Yeah, and I think the funniest part of that whole debacle coming from that Monday night game is, like, we've seen Maxey without Joel on the floor take over games and ultimately lead the Sixers to win. So, like, when Joel goes out in the second quarter and Maxey's playing offense by himself, he does just fine. He's one of the leading scorers in the NBA in the second quarter. So,
correct.
Like in the fourth quarter as well. So it's like, these complaints, they're just bogus. It's people that tune in for one game. It's very casual takes. But if you've watched Maxey over his first couple of seasons, and more specifically throughout this first, 1/3 of the season, or first close to half of the season here, what Maxey's bringing to the table. So that was, the least of my concerns moving away from that game. I'll give a little bit of credit to Tobias Harris. He's been having a hell of a streak here since that down streak, right? We're going up and down.
The last time we talked about a week ago, man. 3 games since we talked about him. It's been sunshine and rainbows for Toby.
Had a couple 30-point outings mixed in there.
And that was next to Embiid. That was making history with Embiid and Maxey.
Yeah, that is right. We had the trio of 30 points. Who was that against? That was like
Toronto,
last Friday.
Right?
Toronto, yeah, that was the Raptors. But Tobias Harris has looked pretty good. I'm not going to sit here and, yell once again. Like I said last week, I'm not going to sit here and yell and say trade Tobias, whenever he's going through those slumps. But I'm also not going to sit here and yell, don't trade Tobias when he's going through these hot, these hot starts.
The Tobias saga is just sit back, take it for what it is. If he continues to play well, great. If Morey moves him, either when he's playing well or playing poorly, cool. Like, let's just, if it makes the team better, I'm for it. If it doesn't, we have to live with the roller coaster that is Tobias Harris, man. Does it frustrate you? Not frustrate you. Does it concern you at all with how important we've seen Nick Batum be to this team? Does it concern you with his health, his ability to stay on the floor? Because obviously when he first came over, he was like the last Clipper to come over and actually play. Then he missed more time for personal matters. Then he had the finger issue. Now he has the hamstring issue, which can linger, and he's missing a bunch of time with this. With how important he is, does it concern you at all, maybe at the deadline where they need another type of player like that or something?
Yeah, I would be lying if I said it didn't concern me a little bit here. When you see how things are playing out, Rocco has kind of fell out of the rotation in a sense. He's not playing very good in his last few showings. Kelly Oubre's been up and down since he returned from his incident, those injuries to the ribs. So when you have all of these things happening as well, that's where the real concern comes in for Nicholas Batum, because he is that steady force in the starting lineup that provides that glue to keep the team together and operating on all cylinders. So yeah, it does worry me a good bit, because you look outside of him, Maxey, Embiid, there's not a ton of consistency. And I think that's the big word for this team, and what they need to build during this time without Embiid is guys like D-Melt, Oubre, Marcus Morris, all of these guys, they're going to have to build that consistency. Obviously, we've been begging for consistency from Tobias for a long time. But I will say that's the biggest positive about Batum, is that what you're going to get each and every time he steps into that starting unit. Doesn't mean he's going to give you 10, 15 points per game, but you're going to get smart basketball and the right decisions made in the right spots. And that's what Nicholas Batum provides for this team consistently. Jeez. That in defense. But yeah, I am a little worried about that because he's a little older. Obviously, talk about him retiring right after this season. So you want to see him out there healthy and see him playing some consistent ball in that starting lineup.
Yeah. Last person I'll bring to attention here before we wrap up. And I'm not one to do this. You know me. A little couple game experiment is not why I'm bringing this up, but I'll rattle some cages and piss people off here. Should Paul Reed be our backup center? And I say that to say this.
Yeah.
I've never wanted Paul Reed to be our backup center. That's why I'm talking about it.
Yeah.
I mean, let's think about this logically. He's 6'9".
Yeah.
I can stop the conversation right there. He's not a center. He's not a center.
He's not.
And you have a 7'1" center behind him that never gets to play. And when he does, he's giving you 18, he's giving you 16, he's giving you 3-point shooting, he gives you rim protection. I just don't understand the obsession, man. Listen, I'm not sitting here banging the table for Mo Bamba to be the guy. All right, because 2 games is just not a large enough sample size. But you watch Paul Reed play basketball, you watch Mo Bamba play basketball. Who would you rather have as your backup center behind Joel Embiid? You want to go from 7-foot rim protector to 6'9" power forward, or you want to go from 7-foot rim protector to 7'1" rim protector?
Yeah. I think for me, man, I would like a lot more flexibility with that decision process, right? When you go into matchups, like if you're playing the Minnesota Timberwolves, you have 2 7-footers and another
and then
guy.
Naz Reid comes in, he's 6'10", 6'11".
Yeah, so like when you have that, I would like to see Mo Bamba in those situations when Joel comes off the floor, just to give you that consistent presence. But yeah, I do feel you, man. When you talk about what does Paul Reed provide that Mo Bamba doesn't. Defense maybe a little bit better from moving your feet type of standpoint,
he's quicker, in front of right? Your absolutely.
Rebounding.
I mean, he there's a number where he
makes hustle plays, but
all right, he's a high percentage rebound guy, but like, we're not like this isn't like
can get a rebound and just go right back up and dunk it if he needs to. He's 7 feet tall. Like he provides length. Right. He can anchor the defensive paint. Better than what a Paul Reed could as far as affecting shots. And then when you talk about the shooting, Mo Bamba can shoot the 3 ball.
And Brett, I hear you, man. I hear you. Except for the fact that Al Horford can stretch the floor. Paul Reed can't. Paul Reed can hardly finish around the rim.
Understands.
He's gotten better at it.
If we're being honest, though, Al Horford's one of the smartest players that's ever came
But I also want to
point
out, Al Horford is not really a center.
Yeah.
He plays back for 5 minutes at times.
Yeah.
But he plays 4 for Boston. When he was here, he played 4 next to, he's been a power forward throughout his career that plays some backup center.
Yeah.
Like Paul Reed is just our backup center. You know what I mean? There's no minutes next to Embiid. There's no nothing. And I just I do, man. I struggle with the fact you go into a playoff series against the Boston Celtics and this dude's your backup center. I don't know.
We'll see how it plays out.
Just wanted to rattle some cages with that one because I've just never been a believer.
We'll see if Nick Nurse can, try to get more out of Paul Reed, man. I like some things from him. I like his mentality that he brings to the game, but I do agree there's just something missing there. When he steps on the court, there's something missing.
Yeah, and listen, man, they're with each other all the time. They're at practice every day. There's got to be something that Mo Bamba has that he can't play right on a regular basis that Nick doesn't like. Whether he is too slow laterally, right, on defense, and he gets beat at the rim all the time in practice, and Nick's saying I can't throw that out there. But I don't know. I just it's part of the reason I loved Dwight here for a portion. It's part of the reason I loved having Drummond here. You go from a 7-foot center in Embiid, who's a borderline defensive player of the year candidate, plus his scoring ability. And then you bring in another 7-foot, 7'1", rim protecting, rebound, blocking shots type of center. Now, Mo Bamba's a little bit more offensively equipped than he is defensively equipped. You're 7'1", you're 7'1". You can protect the rim, right? So that's where, it's just a preference for me. That's who I would prefer to have coming off the bench behind Joel Embiid.
Yeah, because I think, in that situation, you do have to ask yourself, what does Mo Bamba look like in a consistent role? And when he knows what his role is when he comes out there on the court each and every night. So,
right.
Yeah, it is, it's interesting to see how that'll play out over the second half of the season. Because I feel like there is plenty of options out there. If you don't feel comfortable with Bamba as well, there's plenty of options out there. But they spent that money to bring Paul Reed back. Makes you feel like maybe he's locked into this role where he's going to get these minutes, right? Because they paid the money out to him. So it is interesting. I'm interested to see how
that's also a good point. It's how the league works.
Sixers getting a W tonight, man.
Who do we have tonight? Oh, the Rockets.
The Rockets.
No Embiid, no Batum. I'll still go. Yeah, the Rockets have oddly been. I mean, they are what they are. They're 15-14, but they're 12-4 at home. Apparently, Van Vliet has obviously been a huge presence for them. This dude, Sengun,
no Dylan Brooks.
Yeah. So they are beat up as well. Thank God I don't have to watch them play Dylan Brooks tonight. Yeah, the Sixers are getting a win tonight. The Rockets have. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure.
Embiid's out. Yeah, Batum's out.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I think Embiid will be out this whole road trip. I'm not sure if this is.
I think both of them are going to be out the whole road trip.
Batum's at least on the bench. At least he was on Wednesday.
Yeah. In street clothes. Yeah.
Traveling, but I don't think him or Embiid are playing tonight.
Joel's never been a big travel guy when injured. I've never seen him out. That's sometimes at home games he's not even there when he's injured.
I think Joel is, he's just an introvert, man.
Joel's a creature of
he's not on the court, he just wants to be with his family. Yeah. So I get it. I get it.
Yeah, he's always been that way. Remember when he used to love like Chick-fil-A and Shirley Temples when he first came here? And we wondered why this dude needed better conditioning. He literally came out and he's like, I drink 3 Shirley Temples a day. Like, what?
Shirley.
Yeah, bro. Grown man comes to Philadelphia and just starts fucking
chugging Shirley Temples.
Yeah. Oh my God. He's the man though. But all right, guys, that is going to wrap up this Friday edition of the Phaithful Fanatic Show. As always, if you're new to the channel, if you like the content, make sure to support by smashing that subscribe button. We greatly appreciate each and every one of you in the comment section every morning. We hope to see more new faces in here consistently moving forward. We're on the road to our first 100 subscribers here on the channel. So to make sure to support any way you can. For myself and Scotty, for DSM-Media, have a great rest of your weekend.